I guess we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Nina and I work in the recruitment office for the Fulton Schools of Engineering. Hopefully you're enjoying your More to Explore sessions so far this week, doing some other Fulton ones as well. We're here this afternoon to explore more about the Del Webb School of Construction. So with that, I will introduce Liz Dover, who is a coordinator senior with Del Webb, and she's got some information to help share with you. And then it looks like we've got maybe a student or two joining the call as well. So go ahead, Liz, I'll turn it over to you.
Perfect, Nina. Thank you so much. For those of you who are in the call, do not mind my teeth. Apparently, the background wants to come through since my teeth are so white. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get going. Okay. So let me go ahead and share that. It's just taking a minute here. Gotta love technology.
Looks like we may have lost Liz. Liz, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but your video has gone.
Okay, I'm switching over computers. 1 second.
So while we're waiting, since it's a small group, those of you that are in our attendees pool, if you want to put in the Q&A what grade you are or kind of your general interests within Fulton, that way we can see who's out there. That's nice, so we can kind of tailor the presentation to who's out there. So if you can and you feel up for it, go ahead and put in the Q&A your name and what grade you are. If you're a parent, then just tell us you're a parent. But it's nice to see who's in the audience.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see your screen yet.
Okay.
One of our participants today is the parent of a 10th grader interested in engineering. Well, welcome. Hopefully you're getting a lot out of the different sessions so far this week. There are quite a few engineering ones offered. So this afternoon, if you're interested in materials sciences and engineering, there's one at 5 o'clock. I know that. There's a couple other ones throughout this week. All right, looks like we also have a junior first year at EVIT for plumbing. Very cool.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yay, we can see it.
Perfect. Sorry about that. Okay, you can see my presentation, but you can't see me, unfortunately. I'm having some computer issues. But hello, everyone. My name is Liz Dover, and I am the program recruiter for Del Webb School of Construction. Today, we are going to learn about the School of Construction and the 2 programs that we offer for our students. And then we will get a chance to hear from our scholarship specialists and then 2 of our graduate students. So first we have construction management. So this degree helps students learn to be leaders and coordinate different construction sites. This is a combination of business and construction engineering. So I know that we've all seen a construction site before. So we teach our students how to be the leaders to lead this project. And we also give them an opportunity to tour around different job sites, which I have a couple pictures to show at the end of this presentation for you. Then we have construction engineering. It's a combination of construction and civil engineering. So it's more infrastructure design. So different highways, pipelines, dams. So the difference between the two is construction engineering is more horizontal infrastructure design, and then construction management is vertical construction design. So a couple of the classes that our students take, we have construction safety, which we all know on a job site, safety is really important. We see all the heavy materials that are on a site. So students really have to learn the different procedures on how to operate different equipment, just so they ensure that the people that they are managing are safe. We have construction technology, which we know technology is always evolving, so that gives us an opportunity in the construction world to only improve the building process. We have heavy construction equipment, which students learn about the heavy equipment that is brought onto job sites. We have estimating and finance. You have to learn how to budget and estimate, so knowing how much different materials cost, how much you have to pay your subcontractors. We have scheduling, marketing, structural design, project management, of course. We have contracts, which our students have to learn about different insurance, different claims and documentation before they start a job or before they are given a project. And then we have public works, strength and materials. So learning the different materials that go into making the project, and then sustainable construction. So some of the opportunities that we have in this degree program is 100% job placement, which I'll go a little deeper into that later on. Starting salaries after students graduate is between 60 and 70K. And that again, all depends on a student's experience. So if you have more construction experience, you definitely could get more than that. We have over $200,000 plus of scholarship opportunities. We have paid internships starting at $60 an hour. And then one of the benefits of our program is that none of the students have to come in knowing construction. Majority of them do, just because they get this degree just to get a step up in their company if they wanted to be a manager or not, and not work so much on the labor side. But I think that's just one of the benefits, is that we have a lot of faculty and industry that comes in and helps prepare students for the construction industry. So within ASU, I'm sure you've heard a ton about our career fairs that we give our students, but within the school, Delhi Webb School of Construction, we have 2 career fairs each semester, and we bring in different industries. So we have over, I want to say around 60 industry members that come in, and our students are able to hand in a resume and, you know, get an opportunity to talk with them. So within the school, I want to say that it's a big networking pool for our students, just to build up on what path and direction they want to go into. So certain careers that our students end up getting after graduation are accountants, estimators, building information modelers, planners, schedulers, building inspectors, a safety director, project manager, field engineer, or a superintendent. And then sometimes it's really cool to hear from our students, those that have owned their own business while in the 4 years of the degree, or if they plan to, you know, start something up after they graduate. And then one out of 5 of our grads end up being, you know, higher in the higher leadership, so a VP or CEO. So there are many different paths that you can take with just having this construction management or construction engineering degree. So I spoke on internships. Internships are paid for our students. One of the benefits I feel within the program is that our internships are mandatory for our students to graduate. So for construction management students, there are 2 mandatory internships that they need to complete. So end of their sophomore year and end of their junior year, they have to complete during those summer years, they have to complete an internship. And then for construction engineering, it's at the end of their junior year, they need to complete it. So again, we know that internships are really important because it allows you to hit different scopes within construction and figure out kind of what direction you want to go in. Do you want to be more in the office setting of construction, so doing the estimating and being in the pre-construction side, or do you want to be out in the field and telling, people what to do and, deciding on who your subcontractors are going to be? So I think that gives our students a lot of opportunities in that concept. So I'm sorry to keep on repeating opportunities and networking, but that's essentially what college is. And one of the other benefits we have for our students at ASU is student organizations. So we join student orgs to, meet different individuals in the school and then also try to figure out what you're interested in. So for our students, they have a couple of student orgs that fall within construction, whether it's Advancing Women in Construction, the Association of General Contractors, American Concrete. There's just an endless amount. And I think it's pretty cool that, you're not just you don't have to be in just one student org. You can be in all of these or more that ASU has to offer. Within our student orgs, our students actually get an opportunity to compete. This is a picture of them in 2018, when they went to Reno, and essentially they're given a scenario, a construction scenario, and then they're split up into teams and they have to come up with the best solution or the best product. So I think this is a great quote unquote opportunity for our students to be able to get out there and, just discover who they are and what they want to do within this construction path. So we are underneath the School of Sustainable Engineering and the Built Environment. Something that's pretty cool about this building, and I'll show you a little picture of the people involved, is that this was built by our alums. So this building costs around $54.4 million to make, and it's around 137,000 square feet. So for our students, this is their learning lab essentially. So here are a few of our alums that came back and actually designed and built the building for our students. It's a mixed use building, so it has our ASU Welcome Center. So for those of you who are incoming freshmen or just interested in touring the campus, you would enter this. This is the first building that you would go to. We have our ASU swag shop, and then we have all of our construction classes that are held in this building. So this is just another side view. That's where the Welcome Center is. And then this is one of our main students. And we have study areas for our students back here. So this is first come, first serve. There are about 5 different rooms where, students can go in with their groups or if they have a project and hook up their computer. So college is student-centric, so everything is for the students. So if you're interested in ever stopping by the school, you can always reach out to the ASU Welcome Center, or if you are more interested in actually being in the building, I can give you a tour of our location. This is just a traditional and this is our construction classroom. So this is essentially for classes. And the main reason why, can you still hear me?
You're cutting a little bit in and out. So it's like, I think there's a lag between your screen and your voice, but I think
perfect.
we're okay now.
So the construction classrooms are set up like this because within construction, there's a lot of team we work with. So we put our students in these groups so they know how to learn how to work with individuals. So at the end of the day, you're given a $10 million budget. So you have to make sure that, you know, everything that you decide on stays within that budget or lower than the budget given. So again, teamwork is important within construction. So this is just a pre-construction phase of our building. Bringing back opportunities. All of your classes will give you an opportunity to tour students who were able to tour the building back in 2013. You know, I think that's the benefit, is that you don't learn construction in the books, you learn construction being out there in the field, and our students know that. So they are always willing to, you know, get a job site tour if they can, and the student organizations are also able to do that for our students as well. So one of the benefits of being a part of IRA Fulton Schools of Engineering is that Tucker House is our freshman dorm. A lot of students like to stay in this dorm. It's brand new, only a couple years. And one of the cool benefits for us is that it is a 5-minute walk from our building, 5 to 7 minute walk. So we already know that Arizona is really hot. So a lot of our students like to stay in this dorm when they need to. So just think about that. This is a very popular dorm. So if you get into the program and they send you that residential information, fill that out ASAP, because these do fill out really quickly. Okay, and then next, this is just a cute little picture of our students. Something that we like to do is give our students hard hats at the end of their 4 years. So we give our construction management students gold hard hats, and our construction engineering students get white hard hats. So this is, again, I mentioned opportunity and networking within the program, and that's essentially what it is. You're trying to build your network so you can get different opportunities and path or decisions that you want to make within construction. And next, I will hand it off to Kayla Vestal, our scholarship specialist. Kayla?
Hi, everyone. Okay, so it looked like we had a 10th grade parent and a junior student, so both, well, 10th and 11th. So you guys probably aren't too worried about scholarships yet, but just for our construction management and construction engineering undergraduate students, we have $200,000 available. I think last year I awarded $213,000 to our undergrad students. Most of our scholarships are endowed, so with the economy being what it is, all the scholarships are still going to be there because they're endowed. So next year, I know I'll have just as much, $200,000 to award to our students. If you're planning on coming to ASU, you wouldn't want to fill out the application until your senior year. And the application is open November 1st. So it's opening in a couple of days. So if you are a senior right now, you would want to be filling out this application. And then it closes February 1st. So it's open for several months, gives students plenty of time to fill out the application, and the application is really easy. Some of our scholarships are based on need, which you would need to fill out the FAFSA to figure out what your need is. But some of our scholarships are just based on merit, so you don't have to fill out the FAFSA to qualify for those. That's basically just a little bit about the scholarships, and that the one application that we have is going to apply you to all. I think we have like 54 different scholarships. So you just fill out one application, it applies you to all that you would qualify for, and then you would just get an email notification that you won this scholarship. And the only requirement we have is that you write a thank you letter to your donor.
Thanks, Kayla. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Does anyone have any questions for me at all? Okay, there we go. So again, this is my contact information. If you are interested in stopping by to get a face-to-face of the building, that's my email, and then that is my office number if you ever need to get in contact with me. Best to probably email me now during this time, but hopefully we can start getting back onto campus more frequently and get you into the buildings. Okay, so I'm gonna, again, stop sharing my screen and hand it over to our two students.
Hi, Karan, are you gonna screen share this time as well? Or yeah, okay. Great, so we'll just introduce ourselves and then talk a little bit about the research and technology end of construction. So I am a graduate student. My name is Kieran, and I am in the Delhi Webb School of Construction. And I am a PhD student, and I study how to use augmented reality to teach within the construction classroom. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in the presentation, but that's kind of an overview of me.
Hey, I'm Karan. I did my bachelor's, my master's, and now in my PhD program in the same school here at ASU in the Delhi Webb School of Construction. I and Kieran work in the same lab. We do research together, and we also teach or TA for a class together. So we'll basically be talking a little about the class and then what we do in that coursework, and then a little about both our research topics, because me personally, I was introduced to research as an option even in my senior year, and that's what got me interested, and that's what I've been doing since then. So I just thought it'll be interesting to talk about our research, because we also work with some of our undergraduate students in some of the studies that we do for data analysis and data collection. So first, about the course that Kieran and I both helped TA for, that looks at building information modeling and building. So Liz in her presentation, she was talking about one of the courses, which was construction technology, which is really important these days, and that's the topic that this course mainly focuses on. And building information modeling is basically, giving putting your building design and the building environment in a digital form, so that if you're the owner, you're trying to build a house, you get to look at your building and even build it before it's actually built in the real world. So if we go back and rewind to when we did not have BIM and we did not have all of this technology, this is what construction drawings and construction plans look like. So you kind of have an idea that here's your living room, here's your family room, there's a dining room here, but you don't really know about what is the tiles that are going to be going into the living room. What is the wall made up of? We see the foyer, but I don't really get a sense of how the foyer would look like when I'm standing in my living room, and that kind of visualization. So what BIM and what that leads to is accidents and mistakes like this, right? You start building this bridge from both ends, but then it does not meet where it's supposed to meet. You see the stairway that ends up into a wall, which I'm guessing wasn't what was initially planned on. And this hallway, which is obviously obstructed, and no one can pass through without some difficulty. So these are the problems that arise when you have construction drawings that are two-dimensional and do not have as much information as you do need to build something. And that's where BIM comes in, right? Building information modeling, again, as I said, is just 3D models instead of those 2D drawings that we looked at. 3D models of things that you're going to be built, the buildings that you're going to be built, that are going to be built, the bridges that are going to be built, and just more information so that the construction crew, the architect, the designer, have more information and more collaboration that they can work on. And in this course here at ASU, we get started on that, and these major softwares that you need to build a 3D model to share that 3D, to share the BIM model with all those stakeholders. That's what we already get introduced to in this course. And we help actually learn the software, how to use that, and to specific applications that you would be using these softwares when you get into in the industry. So now we'll move a little bit toward the research. And I feel the fundamentals of both my and Kieran's research focus on, the construction education or the construction training happens in the classroom in a lecture-based environment. And obviously that's helpful. And, we get a lot out of those lecture-based courses that we go through at ASU. But then Liz also mentioned we have internships that are compulsory, before you get to graduate. And that's the good part about ASU, because real life job expectations are so different, especially in the construction industry. So you have to be on the job site to get a real sense of what you'll be actually be doing, right? But that unfortunately it is not afforded to every student that goes through construction. And that's where immersive technologies come in, right? Immersive technologies, when I say immersive technologies, I mean virtual reality and augmented reality. And we'll talk more in detail about both of these, but a general sense of, how these differ is this little graph I found really helpful to explain what I mean. So when you're entirely in the real world, right now, if none of you are wearing headsets of any kind, you're in the real world. You can see the computer in front of you. You can see the four walls, or wherever you're located. You can see the sky. You're entirely in the real world, right? Augmented reality, what Kieran focuses on, puts you in an environment where you can see the real environment around you, but you can also see augmented or virtual models that you've designed. A very good example of this is Snapchat filters. So you can hold your phone in front of you and you can see your face, but then the virtual filter is applied on your face. That's a good application of augmented reality. And Kieran is looking at how she can use that in the construction industry, right? And then finally, virtual reality, where you're totally disconnected from the real world and you're entirely immersed in this virtual world. And that virtual world could be anything. A lot of gamers use that to build virtual worlds that transport you among dinosaurs and fantasy living. But we are trying to see how we can use virtual reality environments to train construction workers. That being said, I'm going to have Kieran now talk about her research topic in a little more depth.
Awesome. Thanks, Karan. Yeah, that was a great overview. I think it touched on a few really important points. When people typically think of construction, they think, okay, put your hammer in your holster, go out to a site and nail nails from 8 to 5. And while the trade work is still an integral part of construction, there's so much more. And the technologies we're going to talk about today, we're talking about them in a more educational aspect, like how we use them to teach. But these technologies are emerging as tools within the construction site, like visualization of the utility lines within a building. You can go into it and see them virtually before they're even constructed. And there's incredible technological advancements that a lot of our students are using and helping to develop to be able to apply and make the construction site safer and more efficient. So the topic I'd like to talk about is augmented reality. What is it? Karan kind of touched on the virtuality reality spectrum, where we're in reality, and then there's like virtual reality. A lot of people are familiar with that, where you like see nothing else and you're in this virtual world. Augmented reality, like Karan said, is kind of in between. I don't know if you guys have seen Star Wars, but I was always blown away by this concept of these holograms. So they're just sitting around, and then all of a sudden there's this hologram that pops up, and they're talking to someone basically on the phone, but they can see them. So this is an example of a futuristic augmented reality where you can still see the real world around you, but it's augmented, or there's an added component that's virtual. And while that's not necessarily something that's common now, the Star Wars application, it's not actually unfeasible given the technology we have today. There are things like this picture is showing people wearing a Microsoft HoloLens. So what they have, that's this thing they have on their heads here. And that's the kind of device that I used for my research. And they're looking, so it looks like it's kind of blocking their eyes, but they can still see the room. But they can also see this building, which is completely virtual. It's not like a scale model that they built with Legos or something. It is all just light, and it's refracted in the eyes, so they can see this virtual model in the real world. So that's kind of an example of what augmented reality is, and an application in the building sciences where you can see models. And what they could probably do is click on it and zoom in and go into a room and look at what that would look like. So there's really unique and innovative ways that you can use augmented reality. So that's kind of an example of what it is. How do we use it in education? So here's a picture of Karan here using an application of augmented reality that he built. you can notice that he's picking something up, but you can't really see what it is. That's what it looks like to a user without wearing that headset. Again, this is immersive augmented reality. There's lots of types, but this is the headset type we're talking about it. So he's actually moving pieces of wood or setting the floor. So to talk a little bit more about teaching using it, one application that Karan led the development of and that I'm studying the utility of is kind of what I talked about at the beginning. A lot of people think about like putting up wood walls, like wood studs. That's something that happens a lot when you're constructing, like if you're building a house, you put up a lot of wood stud walls. And to have students get ready to do that, it'd be nice if every student could build a wood stud wall. But do you know how much that would cost for a class of 90 students? And think about how hard it would be as well to store enough wood for 90 students to build a wall. I don't think there's a classroom in the world big enough for 90 walls to be built for 90 students. But there is a classroom big enough for students to wear a headset and build a virtual wall. And that takes up no space. Once you have the headset, it doesn't cost any more money than just the cost of the headset. So that's why augmented reality is really exciting as a tool for teaching and building sciences, because it doesn't use the same amount of resources, but you can still really interact and learn kind of the processes. So what I study is how impactful is this? We know that hands-on is great. What about virtual hands-on? Can we still learn? Is it still effective? Obviously, we don't get that tactile sense. Karan's kind of looking into haptics as well, but those aren't quite advanced enough yet. So we're exploring what we can learn using augmented reality in the classroom. A final phase of the project, you can go to the next slide there, is looking at if we can use augmented reality to help students not only learn how to build things, but also how to build things well and empathetically. So the project that I'm also working on is looking at having students put on this augmented reality headset, go through a playhouse, and then try to determine if it's fun and accessible and safe for children. And then if not, and which parts are not, they're going to actually deconstruct and then rebuild the playhouse, all in the virtual environment, to be able to see if the students can really think empathetically for a user different than themselves. You're not going to go out in the world and build play sets all the time, but the idea is to be able to use that kind of technology to think like someone who's different from yourself. So those are a couple of the innovations that we're looking at in construction education, using these tools to be able to teach in a more immersive and a more interactive way. That's an opportunity available for all students.
All right, next, I'm going to talk, so Kieran talked to us about augmented reality. So we're going to move on in that spectrum and go to virtual reality, right? So virtual reality is, again, you're entirely immersed in this virtual computer generated world. And while it does not have the advantages of, being in the real space that you're standing in, there's benefits now where we can, simulate the environment that you're in any way so that we can take advantages of, putting you in an environment where it would be dangerous for you to be in otherwise, or you're not ready for an environment before. So you can go in that space virtually before actually having to experience that. So in the construction industry, most of the safety training that happens, right? My research mainly focuses on the safety training for construction workers. Right now, most of the safety training happens in classrooms and in seminars. But when you actually go out to the construction site, you're not in a seminar. And the things actually start mattering when you're outside in the real world, right? Not in the actual seminar. And because of this disconnection or disengagement in safety seminars or safety courses, usually people work to get until they're on a construction site, then they see an accident or experience an accident until they actually realize the importance of safety and safety protocols on a construction site. Now with VR, what we can do is, by the way, this little headset that you see on the stick figure is a VR or a virtual reality headset. What we can do is we can put this stick figure or whoever wears that headset in a virtual bubble. And now you can show them the experience of falling down on a construction site, which is a pretty common injury, interacting with electricity, being in really hot situations. And you can put them there because while they will realize the importance or the stress of being in those situations, they're still in the virtual reality bubble because they're not actually there, right? So using virtual reality and haptics, we can make them feel those consequences without actually having to put them through the actual consequences, which, you know, are fatal sometimes. So what we're doing is we are building this virtual construction site. And these are some images of, you know, what that virtual construction site looks like. Hopefully it will look a lot better when we actually have it built, and we'll put construction workers in that environment, right? You see a point of view from a VR headset once you're inside the virtual environment of a pipeline construction site. And the equipment that we need is these virtual reality headsets, some haptic feedback, so that you don't only immerse yourself virtually and visually, but you also get sensory feedback, right? So you're not only on the construction side, but hopefully you can also feel things like if someone bumps into you, or, you know, you accidentally bump into a truck that would be a pretty dangerous accident. You don't only see that, but you actually feel that through these haptic feedback suits. So we've been developing this virtual reality application, and then, you know, if accidentally on the construction site you hit an open electric line, we would try to simulate that consequences, you know, so that you understand the importance of the safety protocols again, as I said before, but without actually having to be in those dangerous situations. So yeah, I think that's it for me and Kieran. Both are research topics in the course, but if you have any questions, you can reach out to us and talk to us about our research. We're always interested in discussing that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's really fascinating. So with our students that are still in our audience right now, we are happy to help answer any questions that you have. So if you want to put anything in the Q&A, you're welcome to. It can be, like Karan said, anything research oriented or specific programs in Del Webb. We are here to help. So if you've gotten what you need from the session, you're more than welcome to head to whatever sessions you have planned for this afternoon. But we'll stick around for 5-10 minutes to help answer anything that you have. All right, so we do have a question. I'd say more geared towards you, Liz. So it says, for the tours of ASU, is there a certain day or when they're hosted, or do you set them up on your own time? So I'll speak kind of from the big picture perspective, and then Liz, if you want to chime in specifically for Del Webb, that would be awesome. So within ASU in general, they host one-on-one family tours with admissions that you can sign up through the admissions website. So I can put that in the chat here in just a moment. So those are general campus tours that you can sign up for. And then Liz, do you want to speak a little bit about anything related to construction for tours?
So for a building tour, that's what I would give you. You can just go ahead and email me and we can just set it up that way. So I can, if it's easier for you to come in the morning, then I can, you know, tour you in the morning or in the afternoon. So it's more of a personal level with the building tours for myself. As far as Nina said, ASU has their own specific times for tours. So for me, it's whenever you're free.
And I just put the link to the admissions website in the chat that has the schedule for the one-on-one in-person tours. So those are run by admissions for the whole campus. And then, so in the spring, we will be reevaluating that situation, whether there's still that kind of platform, or if the colleges will be allowed to open up and offer kind of more personalized tours as well.
And then I guess I also wanted to mention, although we are going through COVID right now, Pertaining to the internships and jobs that our students are getting offered, they are still getting offered opportunities. So construction has not slowed down here, at least in Arizona. So over the summer, our students were able to keep their internships. If they already had jobs, they were able to keep their jobs and were able to work throughout the summer. So just keep that in mind, is that the career fairs that we had recently, last month, were virtual, but there was still, you know, a lot of participation from the industry and from our students.